Well, folks, it's straight up on the hour, and we're going to get started here with our webinar today. I think you're going to like what you see today. This is an interview with a healthcare business expert and one of our licensees, Julianna Madsen. And she's here virtually with us today. By the way, I'm going to introduce myself this way. I just put a slide up, but for those of you who are listening to the broadcast, maybe you're not paying attention to what's on the screen. My name is Patrick Phillips. I am the founder and chief executive officer of American Business Systems. We were founded back in 1994 when my wife started doing medical billing, and we've grown since then. 22 years later, here we are. I'm a former Apple executive, a best-selling author, a nationally recognized keynote speaker, and I'm on the editorial board of Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. Here's a couple of my books that I'll throw up on the screen here. You can find these on Amazon.com or in any major bookstore like Barnes & Noble's. The one on the left is one that I wrote just to show people that you can reprogram your brain to be successful. And the one on the right is actually a marketing book that you, as one of our ABS licensees, if you decide to go through our training and get involved with us, you can use that for marketing purposes. Here's the magazine that I mentioned earlier, Billing and Coding Advantage magazine, that has 40,000 subscribers, and I am on the editorial board, and that's one of the articles that I just published about it. I continue to share information with the whole billing community about how to build, a successful medical billing business. Let's see, I see some more people typing in here. Here's Kevin is from Jackson. Here's Jay is from Milpitas, California. Brian is from Augusta. Aaron is from Lynn Walsh from where is that? Faribault, Minnesota. And Mark is from Colorado. Tanisha is from Texas. Asham is from he's just attending, he says. And Jitik is from Philadelphia. And Playo, it says Azam. Okay, well, anyway, folks, by joining ABS, you can become a part of the nation's largest network of medical revenue managers. We used to say medical billing companies, but we do much more than that. And when you graduate as a certified medical revenue manager, you'll be doing much more than that as well. We've taught hundreds of people from coast to coast over the last 22 years, all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of ages, retired folks, housewives, single moms. It doesn't matter what your background is. You have to have no background whatsoever in medical billing or even the medical field, and you can be successful in this business, as you'll find out today. 22 years, we offer a lot more, of course, than just medical billing. This illustration is some of the services that we offer, that you can offer to the doctors in your community. And it's basically an online, cloud-based or web-based system. So there's no software that actually resides on your computer. You actually log in from any browser that's connected to the internet. Nothing has to be loaded onto your computer. There's nothing that's downloaded. It's purely through a browser. So it's great because you can go on a vacation, log in from the cruise ship or on the beach out there with your laptop in Hawaii, and you are in business at that point. So it runs on any platform, PCs, Macs, tablets, iPhones, iPads, it doesn't matter. As long as it's connected to the internet, you can connect to it. Folks, we have award-winning software. You can find out more about that by talking to your business coach. We call the folks here that work with folks who are thinking about getting involved with us. And they'll be glad to tell you about this, but we've won lots of awards all over the country. I think you'll find it very impressive. We're also mentioned in Entrepreneur Magazine's book on starting your own medical claims billing service. We're listed in the back of that book. So again, I'm just kind of showing you that we're kind of a stable company. We've been around a long time, and we're recognized in the industry. If you haven't been to our website, here it is, absystems.com. You'll see it up at the top there. Be sure and click on that little orange button up there at the top right-hand corner. That will take you to what we call our virtual brochure. And in that, you'll have all sorts of videos and other questions answered that you might not have answered here on the webinar today. We can only cover so much, of course. We are rated A+, that's the highest rating you can get with the Fort Worth Better Business Bureau. So go just Google that, Fort Worth BBB, and you'll find us there. We also were awarded the top online business opportunities of 2015 by businessopportunities.biz. Now, one way you can check us out is by coming and visiting us. Just let us know that you're coming, and we'll give you the address and the map and all how to get here. We'll even pick you up at the airport if you fly in, and you can spend whatever time you need to here to find out all you wish about us as a company, our personnel. You can meet all the folks here. We'll sit and talk with you and have a cup of coffee and just let you visit. Let's see if Juliana has stuck with me all this time. Juliana, you still there?
I am.
All right, I'm going to turn off my webcam here just because sometimes when I have another person on, it slows down a little bit on the video and audio and so forth. So thanks for taking the time to do this, Juliana. I know we've done an interview with you in the past, but I wanted to get caught up as to where you're at. I'm going to ask you some questions myself, but I'm also going to open it up to the folks who are on there. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
All right, let's see. I see Heather here. She's from Denver, and Jesse is from New York. All right, I think I've got everybody acknowledged there that's on the webinar today. So what is that? I think it's about 30 some odd people there, Juliana. So we got a lot of interest today
Great.
doing. Now, let's start with where you kind of started, Juliana. This was, what, 5 or 6 years ago in summer of 2010, right?
That's right. I was in corporate America and I came out to training in the end of 2009 and then came back home and basically set up shop and summer of 2010 jumped right in after I left my corporate America job.
Yeah. So was that job in any kind of healthcare? I forget.
It was not. It was not. It was at Turner Broadcasting in the cable industry.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So no relationship whatsoever. So
Nope.
you decided to get into this business. What made you choose, medical billing?
Well, I worked at Turner for 17 years, and it was all very operational. So I had a lot of analytical skills. I had a lot of organizational skills. I had managed other departments. I'd managed budgets. We used proprietary software, so I knew that I could be proficient with softwares like practice management systems. And I just felt like all of those skills would have been a good parlay into the medical field. And all I needed to learn was basically what you guys taught me in training. So I thought that all those pieces would be a good fit. And they have so far been a good fit.
Yeah. And as you found out there, I guess in the class that you were in, I forget, I don't know how many people were in that class, but somewhere around 15 or 20 probably.
Yeah.
Did you find out that there were many people there even that had a background in the medical field?
No, most people did not.
Yeah, we're at where maybe 2 or 3 people have had some background or worked in a doctor's office or something like that, but not many people that come through have even got any, background in the billing itself, because that's kind of a unique part of a medical billing practice, is it? Isn't it? The billing,
Right.
medical
Yeah.
practice for billing.
Yeah. A lot of people have business background or business acumen, and feel like, they could run their own business, and then we just needed sort of the guidance and some of the education on the actual field itself.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people are probably wondering, what kind of area of the country that you are in. Are you in a heavily populated metropolitan area of Georgia, or is it just a small?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta. Okay.
I'm
Yes.
only about 5 or 6 miles from downtown Atlanta, and I basically, you can pretty much have clients anywhere you want, but I'm basically metro area of Atlanta
Yeah.
with my clients.
Oh, I guess there's just like here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. There's probably thousands of medical providers there, huh?
Oh yeah, there's lots.
Yeah. All right. So when you got started, I guess the first question most people are wondering about is how did you get started in the actual business itself? What did you do to actually go out and get a client?
Well, what people learn in training, and it's so true, the networking and referrals is really how you get your clients. So I found that I just reached out to everybody and anybody that I could, and then I also joined several groups, and you find which ones are really worth your time and which ones are worth your money, based on who the people are in the group. But the one group that I sat in um, was a healthcare networking group, and everybody in there only called on doctors' offices. And it was one of those kind of like a power core where there's only one seat per um,
Per
business, so to
profession?
speak.
Yeah.
So I somehow, and I don't even really know now how I got onto that, but because I'm like, well, I guess it's through networking. Somebody said, oh, you should come and join this group, and then I did, and it was actually a medical IT guy that was on the group that he knew everybody that was opening a practice because he was helping get them set up. and he would just refer my name to him, and I got my two first clients through that, through him and through the first client, and then signed the second client up like a couple weeks later. And I'm still getting referrals from my first client that I signed up. It was probably January 2011, and she's still referring people to me.
Yeah, we've heard that from a lot of licensees that they just did what we told them to do. As you know, we go through about a dozen different ways to go out and market this, and you were using obviously networking, but once they got their first client, they didn't have to do a lot of marketing after that.
Yeah, that's right. I would prefer to do a lot more business development now than I do and networking than I do, but I've got so much work to do that I have not been doing that as much. But yeah, I still can get phone calls from people that I met, a year ago, that I met at a lunch or at a happy hour or wherever.
Yeah, sometimes they're not in the market for your services when you first talk to them, but things change in their offices, and when they do, of course, hopefully you're still at the top of their mind.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So tell us about your family. I have a picture here on the screen of you and
Hmm.
Miller.
Yes, that's me and Miller. That's my son. He's now 7. I think that was pre-K. He's now in first grade. So that was probably 2 years ago, that picture, which is funny. But yeah, I've got Miller who's 7, and I've got a daughter who is a sixth grader in middle school who's about to be 12. Married and here in Atlanta. And I'm running my business, and my husband, we own a retail wine store up the street, so he runs that business and I run my business, and we try and keep our kids in line and with all their sports, and we're having fun.
Oh, I can imagine that's a challenge as a mom trying to run a business. So I guess they're at school most of the day, and you're just working out of your home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're in school for the most of the day, and then I'm able to work out of my home office all day long, and then go get them when I need to get them, shuttle in the doctor's appointments if I need to get them early, go to their sports and all those different things that not always corporate America allows.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great having your own business. I tell people this is not something that you should go into, with just thinking that it's going to be easy because really working for yourself is harder than working for somebody else, isn't it? You could put in a lot more hours, couldn't you?
Absolutely. You want to be as successful as you possibly can, and of course you're getting referrals from people being happy, and your source of revenue are your clients, so you're doing everything you can to make sure that you're getting everything done, and you're being timely, and that you're going kind of above and beyond for them, because you don't want to lose any of your clients and jeopardize your income and workflow.
Yeah, no, it's hard because there's so many temptations. I work out of my home here, and wow, the refrigerator is just about 20 feet away, and uh, and then there's all kinds of things that you can find to do around your house too. So you really have to close the doors to your room and think of this as this is my business day.
Yes. The great thing though is that you can I mean, I'm up really early with my children obviously to get them off and ready for school. So by 7:45, both children are gone, and I'm sitting at my computer by 8 a.m. in sweatpants and getting an hour and a half work before somebody who's commuting even gets to their office.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Well, and you saved all that time not having to fight the traffic. I used to have a dog, so
Exactly.
I would tell people, look, my only traffic is going from upstairs bedroom to downstairs when the dog is in the way.
Right.
That's my
Exactly.
traffic jam. All right, so I got some questions coming in, but folks, I've got on the screen there where you can tap those questions in. Be sure and find that control panel, and you can tap those in. Remember, this is live. We are recording this, by the way. If you don't have a spouse or partner that you own here that you'd like to hear this, we'll be sending out an email of the recording later too as well. So ask your question. I will refer to your question by your first name and read the question directly to Julianna. So when you're typing that in, just act like you're talking to Julianna herself, asking the question. Here's one from Solomon. Now, I don't know really what this means. He says, "What, Miss Madison? What caused you to transition from Cairo? I think that's a medical billing platform to ABS." I don't know what he means by that, but you never.
Maybe maybe corporate America. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be.
Well, I decided to transition because I needed more flexibility. I had younger children then. I mean, it's been 5 years, so Miller was only 2. Had younger children, and it just wasn't flexible for our lives. And had been looking for probably a year or so, just looking into all kinds of things, franchises, looking to go part time at the company that I currently work for, et cetera, and came across ABS and did all my due diligence. And then my husband and I decided, you know what, we're going to do it. Just go for it. And so, like I said earlier, all of my background and my business experience, I felt would position me well to be able to be successful. So jumped right in and
Here.
made the transition and came out to training and have been doing it ever since, and I'm glad I did.
Well, Juliana, let's talk about where you are right now. George asks, how many clients do you currently have? Can you give us a feel for that?
Yeah. So right now I have 2 urgent care facilities, which are open extended hours and 7 days a week, so they're cranking people in and out. I have 2 pediatrician offices that also have multiple providers. I kind of look at each client as the actual practice, but you're going to have a lot more work when there's more than just one provider and it's not just a solo practitioner. I have a couple of durable medical equipment providers, which is a sort of a smaller niche market that I just kind of fell into. And then I just signed on a plastic surgeon who does emergency surgeries at our big metro Atlanta hospitals. So that's going to be a really big account, and I'm looking forward to jumping on that and starting that in the next week or 2.
Oh, super. So you're still adding new clients as you go along here.
Yep. Yeah. I
Now,
just got to find more people to help me work for them, or I'll be working 24 hours a day.
yeah, that's a big challenge, isn't it? As you're growing your business, where do I actually hire somebody else and give up, of course, some of my own income, but also give up a lot of the work that you're doing too. So
Right. Yes. It's a double-edged sword.
yeah. Now, Juliana, we talk of some of our webinars, and of course, people can find that on our website more about all the services that you can offer. I've got them pictured here on the screen, and we do have a question here about those. That's the reason I stuck that up there because it says, I think this is from Stephen. He says, which of the component services of ABS do you emphasize and why?
I emphasized every single one of them because the physician's toolbox is down at the bottom. I kind of feel like all of them are all encompassed in the physician toolbox. And the more you can offer a client, the more they're going to see you as the expert. If you can offer all of these things to them, you're going to hit something that they need. You're going to feel some sort of a pain they have.
Yeah,
And any of those are a good door opener.
That's a good way to put it. I started to say a lot of licensees look at Auto Card, Quick Collect, Choice Pay, Audit Guard, Code Right, and iDocs Now as just ways to get in the door because sometimes that office is if they're doing their own billing, they're not interested in talking to you about billing, but they might be interested in talking to you about one of these other services. So it's a good way to sneak in the door, get your foot in there, and then once you've got that service in there, well, hey, now you're a part of that practice, right? You're a partner, so it's easy to be what I call in second place. Like they're doing billing now themselves, or maybe they've already outsourced it to somebody else. But if something happens where they get unhappy with that, what they're doing now, then hopefully they think of you in second place.
Exactly. And just to be, you're really seen as the expert when you can, once you get in there and you're talking to them, and let's say you got their billing account and you're using certain things, then you'll quickly see, oh, you know what? You have a horrible patient receivables. Maybe you should use Quick Collect and go for that money through this resource. And
Right.
then, because in that way, you're not passing them off on somebody else. You're still their main contact, and you're just growing the things that you're just growing the offerings that you're giving to them and adding even more value.
Yeah. Now, this is a great question from Maggie. She says, do you have to be a medical billing expert to start this business? If not, what do you need to get started?
You do not need to be a medical billing expert, but you certainly need to be able to learn about medical billing and to be Um, I mean, I pretty much have learned sort of the specialty of pediatrics. Everything is out on the internet, so you can go out on the American Pediatric Academy and read about, every about billing tips, and you just pretty much have to go. In addition to training, obviously, through ABS, you just have to sort of be willing to learn all the specialties and all the nuances to be really good at what you're doing, so that you can pick up on it and you can have a meaningful conversation with the doctor.
Yeah, our friend is Google. Google
You
knows
can get everything there, yes.
right. So you just Google any term you don't know, any organization they mention. Yeah, just go find out more about it on there. Now,
Yeah, you don't need coding books anymore. You don't need anything. You just need your internet connection.
yeah, because all the codes, of course, are built into our iClaim system and our EHR system. So you don't really need to know the codes. The doctor provides you the codes that they think they ought to be, and then our system kind of suggests the right codes to the doctor if they're not picking the right ones. Here's a good question from Joanna. Can you please recommend the associations that we should consider to join? You mentioned earlier when we were just talking offline, Julianna, about a couple of organizations. What would you tell people to join if they wanted to network with some people out there that know doctors?
Yeah, it's hard to say because every market is different, but I just sort of used Google again and typed in, metro area medical associations, and then looked to see when they met. And usually you can try them out for free as a guest before you ever put any money down, or you'll pay just for the lunch or whatever. And I just started going to them all and seeing who, you know, one of them I went to was basically all vendors, and I thought, that's not really worth my time because there's not a single decision maker here. I'm, I just don't think I'm going to get much out of this. Then I joined one that had a lot of practice managers and doctors that attended, and that one I got several accounts from along the 5 years. So you just kind of have to play it by, play around with it and see how much you're getting out of it for your return on investment. I'm not a member of any real big national ones. I just choose to kind of stay local. Um, and pick and choose, and I go to different chamber events and those types of things because most of the time you don't even have to be a member of the chamber to attend those. And just get on as many email lists as possible so that you know the different events that are taking place, and go to the ones you can and meet as many people as you can, and always have your business card on you.
Always, right. Okay, so Sydney says, how did you establish credibility with your first customers without having any referrals to offer? Let me just throw in, Juliana, before you even begin, that people don't realize we do live demos for our licensees and for their prospective doctors that they want to sign up, and we have all kinds of referrals of doctors that those doctors can speak with. So you don't have to have the referrals; we've got them for you. But how would you address that, Juliana?
Yeah, and that's a good point because I do remember being very nervous just going out there for the first time, and submitting my first proposal, and I used all the proposals that are on the licensee site, and I went back and forth with help through ABS support on my proposals, and doing the practice analysis and all those kinds of things. Um, so the credibility is you just have to be confident, and like Patrick said, you can point back to that you're part of a larger organization, and other licensees, and that you have all these people at your fingertips. I happen to, I happen to have credibility already because the IT guy gave the name to them, and they were just like, well, if he's given me her name, then she must be good. So,
Yeah.
I kind of lucked into that credibility anyway because he wouldn't have given them my name if he didn't think I could handle it.
Right. It's like okay, it's like an introduction from somebody else, and even though that doesn't have to be a doctor, that could be anybody. Like you mentioned earlier, the IT guy that was setting up the computers for the doctors knew him, trusted him, and so when you you were referred, it was just a natural.
Yeah, and I don't even think I had to. We didn't even negotiate anything. I gave them a proposal, and then they said, "Okay, when can you start?" I mean, it was like, really? Well, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's. Hey, do you have anybody, any clients outside of Georgia?
I have several that are part of the durable medical equipment niche that are not in Georgia, but it's a very specialized billing. It's not like a doctor's office. They basically are hair salons that do medical wigs for cancer patients. And so I help them. They don't really know anything about how to go about it. So I help them call and I charge them for benefit checks, and then I help them see what the benefit is and then file their claims for them if the person ends up buying a wig from them. So those are out of Georgia, but at this point I don't have any true like providers that are outside of Georgia.
Yeah, Juliana, we have one licensee. I think they're in maybe Arizona, but they don't have any but one local doctor, and they've got like a dozen doctors. So they're all referrals from a doctor who knew a doctor who knew a doctor all over the country. That's the great thing. There's no.
Yeah, yeah, it's totally doable for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Jay says, Juliana, what are the working hours? Are they flexible or same as your client's hours?
Well, I certainly am always available during their workday for them, and really available pretty much at any time. It is flexible. I mean, it's as flexible as you need it to be. However, as a person that owns the business, I may take an hour and a half out of my day to do something where I need to with my children, but then I'm probably going to be jumping back on my laptop later that night to wrap things up or to get things caught up. I work a lot of times, and this is where it gets difficult when you have a home office, is you feel like you can easily just walk in there on a Saturday and do a couple of hours worth of work. Um, so those are the types of things where I have that flexibility. Um,
Yeah.
So, there
And
you still have to be able to, if you're going to call insurance companies and those types of things, which you're going to have to do to deal with claims that are denied and, denial management and things of that nature, you're going to have to be able to make those calls during that work, during the work day and during the call center work hours. But that's not every single day. Sometimes I put those types of things aside because it's kind of a different mindset anyway. I'll put those things aside and say, okay, I'm going to sit down for an hour from 9 to 10 or whatever on Wednesday mornings, and I'm going to crank out insurance calls. But other than that, the work hours can be whatever you sort of set them to be.
yeah, I mean, you could literally process the claims for the doctor at 3 a.m. in the morning if you wanted to, because the internet's open 24/7.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a girl who works for me that um has 3 kids, and she does as much as she can while they're not around at school, but she's a night owl and she gets on at 10 o'clock at night and probably does 3 to 4 hours from 10 to whatever time she finishes up, and that's she loves it, and I'm fine with it, and it's all getting done, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Now you mentioned, rejected claims. I have a quote up here on the screen from Dave Jaco. He's the former president of the Healthcare Billing and Management Association. He says that it's not unusual to have a 35% or higher claim rejection rate. He's talking about typical doctors' offices and systems out there. Have you found that to be true as you sign on a new doctor, that there's is a whole lot more than 2%?
Yeah, they usually have a little bit more. I think 35 is probably on the higher side, but they usually have probably 15 or so percent rejection rates and denial rates. Um, the problem is that the people that work in their office don't really care how much they get paid because they're just working on an hourly basis. And if they have a certain amount that are clean claims that are coming in, they usually put the ones that are problematic off to the side and they never really address them.
Yeah, that's a good point, and you're right. It depends on the doctor, the type of doctor, and so forth, as to what their rejection rate
Yeah,
would be. But nationwide, our system has a less than 2% rejection rate. Have you found that to be true?
right. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Sydney says, can you please describe the support you got from Patrick and ABS in the beginning, and what you had to get from the third parties in order to execute the work? She's probably talking about our technology partners that we talk about. So
Yeah. No,
I'll stop
I
here.
mean,
You can say anything you want to about our support.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, what I tell people when I do calls, when people are considering coming to the training is the thing that you're usually most skeptical about when you're jumping into a new business is the company going to deliver what they say they're going to deliver? And that was my biggest concern, but you can't really know that until you do it. And so when I joined ABS, I mean, that's the one thing that I've just been thrilled with, is that there has not been a single thing that was promised that wasn't delivered. There hasn't been anything that I haven't gotten answers to. I've never had a single problem with, any kind of a paperwork flow or dealing with any of the so-called vendors, if you will, that are the technology partners. I mean, I used ABS a lot in the first 2 years. I probably don't use, I probably don't contact support that much anymore because I don't need to. But if I did, I know that I would get turnaround time and response time really fast. And I've just been very pleased with my partnership with ABS, and I can't say enough great things about it.
Well, thank you, Juliana. I don't know. I'd have to look back when you signed up with us. We may have had a limit on the support. A lot of companies will give you support for a year, 2 years, something like that. But as you know, we just support you as long as you need it. We have
Yeah,
lifetime
yeah,
support
no.
now. Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing I'll throw in there is, I have been part of ABS since 2009, and as things have changed, which a lot of things have changed in the healthcare world from that point to now, you guys have changed right along with it. There have been, you are continue to offer more and more products. I mean, that list up there that was on a former slide, those those will grow. You'll continue to grow those where there's a need, and that's what's cool about it, is that all of us that are licensees aren't having to reinvent any wheels. We've got all this there, and we can all work together, and we can use ABS as our resource and just continue to grow our businesses along with, helping out these support vendors.
And Juliana, would you address? I know a lot of people wonder what kind of behind the scenes hidden charges there might be. Can you address what you've paid to ABS after you paid your initial licensing fee?
$0.
That's what I wanted to hear. I was hoping nobody was charging you anything. No, folks.
I mean, I've paid like marketing stuff. I haven't paid the ABS, but I've paid, I've printed off marketing materials, but
Sure.
that obviously isn't going to be free. But it is great templates that you just dump your basically your logo and everything in and get this wonderfully, beautifully printed materials. But yeah, I have not paid a dime since I paid for training.
Yeah, we have ongoing webinars, as you know, Juliana.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, for training our licensees. There's no charge for that. There's no charge for support. There's no charge for extra users when you sign up a doctor. At least sign-ins to the system. We just don't believe in nickel and diming people. After that initial licensing fee that people pay, that's it. That's we make money on the transactions behind the scenes from our technology partners, so we don't have to charge anything extra. Let's see. George says, "Do you do all the work yourself, or have you started to hire people?" I think we addressed that
I
earlier.
do a lot of yeah, I do a lot of the work myself, but right now I have 3 part-time people, and I'm really looking for 2 or 3 more. Especially when I take on this plastic surgeon, I want to be able to focus all my efforts on on that exact account, and then get the other people up to speed. So yeah, I've had probably up to 3 or 4, usually hover around 4 people. Um, right now I've got 3, and like I said, I am looking for at least 2 more aggressively right now.
So Jesse says, at what point did the need for extra outside help to handle the processing claims become necessary?
Well, it depends on, how many people are in the like if it's a 3 doctor practice, that's one thing because they're going to be seeing a lot of patients. If it's a 1 doctor practice, that, it all just depends on their volume and the complexity of the billing to really be able to answer that question. Um, Most people working for me are part-time, so what I was telling Patrick is, I'd really the best case scenario would be for me to have 2 part-time people to equal 1 full-time for 1 account to make sure that it's squeaky clean and nothing's falling through the cracks.
Yeah. Latanya says, how long did it take to obtain your first doctor uh, when you got started?
Well, let's see. I really dove in 100% in the summer of 2010, and I signed that first account and started in January of 2011. So 5 or 6 months.
Yeah. Uh, for a lot of people don't realize that, this is not a fad type business. It's a real need in the marketplace. So if it takes you a while to get your first client, it really doesn't matter because that doctor can make you a lot of money over several years time. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And you're asking them to take over a very significant and important part of their business. So you have to build those relationships and really gain their trust because you are taking over a big portion of their revenue. And if you don't do a good job, you could really negatively impact their practice.
Yeah. Sydney is asking about, can you provide services to veterinarians? Yes, you can, Sydney, but you can't do their billing. That's a completely different thing, of course. I guess there's insurance for dogs. I don't know, but there are services that we have that you can offer to veterinarians. Yes. Um, Stephen says, how helpful, Juliana, is the practice analysis approach? Is there
It's
much
great.
resistance
Yeah.
to revealing such information?
It's I use it all the time. I tweak it a little bit. I basically look at I've got my template before I go into my meeting with the doctor, depending on their specialty and what I've learned about them. I've looked at their website. I've talked to people that know them. I tweak it a little bit, add certain things to it based off conversations I want to have, or if I want to drill into something more. But the practice analysis is critical.
Yeah, and folks, that is something we train you during that week of training here in Dallas. We teach you how to go out and how to approach the doctors, how to get the appointments to go over that. It's basically, Juliana, it's now 3 pages. I don't know if the one you use is that big, but it's lots of questions that you can ask to the doctor or their office manager to find out where the pain is in that practice, and whether or not you can actually be of help to them. It's a great way to market this. Um, let's
And it
see.
shows that you're prepared. You're coming prepared. You have questions. You have, things that you're asking. It allows you to stay on track. It also allows you to not forget, if there's really big questions that you have you've got it right there in front of you. I use it every time.
Yeah. Let's see. Andre says, would you say it's gotten easier to gain clients as of the last 2 years? I guess he's referring to all the changes in healthcare and coding and so forth.
I haven't noticed a difference. I think there's always a need, and it's going to continue to be a need.
Yeah. Sydney says, how much of your time do you spend arguing and negotiating with the insurance companies to get payment for your doctors?
Oh gosh, that's hard to say. Um, that is the biggest barrier is the insurance company because they can be very difficult. But I would say that, I mean, I guess if you equate it to basically 98% plus is our clean claims that you don't have to do any follow up on. The 2% is what you're spending your time on because it's not typically anything that you have any control over. Sometimes it might be that the front desk um, or whoever is entering in the information and the demographics didn't get the ID right, certain things. So that it's hard to say, but the 2% is where you're spending your time on not arguing, but getting it pushed back through or having to resubmit a claim and that sort of thing.
Yeah, making sure that the doctor gets the money. Because, like you said
Right.
earlier, the staff in the doctor's office gets the pay no matter what. So you have the
Mhm.
motivation because you're making a percentage of all the money that's actually collected from the insurance companies.
Exactly.
Yeah. Azam says, do you receive the check from the insurance company or does it go to the doctor directly and he pays you?
Yeah, it goes to the doctor directly.
Yeah. Heather is asking a question here that's similar. She says, to what Jesse is asking here. He wants to know how much workload could Juliana handle before she needed outside help? And Heather is saying the same thing. How many clients can you handle at a time?
Well, let's see. So basically, when I first started, it was just me. I didn't have the income to pay myself and somebody else. So I probably worked 3 or 4 accounts before I brought somebody on. And then I just decided that it was time to bring somebody on and that I would, if I needed to, I would not pay myself as much as I had been. But now, I'm basically paying myself exactly what I want to pay myself, and I'm still paying 3 people and can afford to pay 2 more. So it just depends on how much time you want to spend on it yourself. I mean, like for me, in the 5th year, I really want to get out of the weeds a little bit and have people really doing the work. It's just hard to do that when you're a small business. And I want to make sure that I want to make sure I keep my clients too. I've had them for a long time. I want to keep them happy, so you have to make sure you're getting the best quality people working for you. So that's kind of a question that is also just depends. But you could do, if you're going to work a lot, then you could do probably 5 accounts yourself, but not if they have 4 and 5 providers in the account.
Right.
Because if you have, let's say you have 3 providers and they're seeing 20 people each a day, that's 60 claims a day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, we tell people, generally a handful of clients is about all you can handle personally yourself. And when you get beyond that, you have to either think about expanding, hiring people to help you, or you refer those clients back to ABS, and we'll find a licensee who can handle that client for you. Doesn't matter where they're located, right? And then we'll
Right?
figure out a split deal on that for you. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, Javier says, what percentage of the doctors already use this type of service? Javier, I can generally tell you that it's already outsourcing is one of those things that a lot of doctors have not even considered. They do it in house, and it doesn't matter because that's probably your best bet anyway, is to take somebody that's in house and that has never outsourced. But I have licensees that tell me the doctors that outsource are their best prospects because they're already educated on it. They know it. They just not happy with their current billers. What do you
Yeah,
think,
it's
Julianna, about that?
yeah, it doesn't really matter if you're taking it over from an in-house or taking it over from a billing service they're not happy with. Either way, they're not happy with it. I'd say for me, it's been like 50-50. I've taken accounts from other billing companies because they just got complacent and the doctor was tired of them leaving money on the table. And I've gotten clients from people that had a biller and then they left and they were open-minded to talking about outsourcing.
Yeah.
So I've had both, and I feel like it's kind of been 50-50 based on my client base.
Let's see, George says, when you hire part-timers, do you train them or does ABS help with that?
I typically am the one training them. Yeah.
Yeah, and Julianna, I don't know if you've kept up there on our licensee support side or not, but we recently announced that we actually have some training materials out there that are separated from the licensee training materials. They're for people like your people who are helping you and sales reps and things
Great.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maggie's asking how much was the training. Maggie, our licensing fee is $25,000 at this point. It may be going up soon, but right now it's $24,990, and that includes, of course, the week of training here in Dallas and lifetime support and a bunch of other stuff too. You'll want to go to our website and just kind of dig into it a little bit deeper there to find out more. Jesse says, how quickly do the doctors pay? Have you had a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that actually. I generate basically receivable reports at the end of every month, and on the first on the first I run those reports. By the first or the second, I've got all my QuickBook invoices generated and basically email it to them with the attached report, and usually by by the mid-month, by my latest paying one is probably by the 15th of the month, and then I've been paid for that whole prior months of services. I haven't had
Yeah.
any problems with that.
Yeah, we haven't really had any feedback from licensees that they're having a problem collecting, although there are some, Juliana, who work it into their agreement that the doctor, once they bill them for maybe 2 billing cycles, that the doctor agrees to, have that just taken out of their checking account directly. They can do an
Right.
ACH, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I have two clients that I basically draft checks from, and then the other ones they still get their invoice and they look it over and then they tell me, yep, go ahead and deposit.
Yeah, because some people may not realize that in our system, since it's a cloud-based system, you can get access to the doctor, can't you? So that the doctor can go in and see all they want to from reporting that's in our system about where their
Yes.
claims and money is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Andre says, how long would you say it takes you to do 60 claims? Let's break that down, Juliana, to just one claim. Let's say that you've already got the information about the patient in there. This is a revisit the following month. What do you think it takes to do a claim? Just input.
Um, it doesn't really take that long to actually do a claim, but you basically look it all over. You do kind of a scrubbing, so to speak, to make sure that the doctor's giving you everything that you need. Um, and then, you basically are basically doing your batch and then getting it out. So, it just depends on, let's say it's a minute or 2 minutes a claim, just because you're making sure that everything looks good, because you want it to be that 98% or 99% if it's a good day. Um, so if you've got 60 claims and let's say it takes you, a minute each, that's a good hour just on that one claim, just doing maintenance. I mean, I consider filing claims maintenance.
Yeah.
Something you got to do every day to stay on top. Like we tell for all my clients, I tell them that all of their claims will go out within 24 hours. But on all honesty, they go out probably the day that after that day is closed. They're out that night. So the faster you get those claims out, the faster their cash is coming in the door. So you're getting those things out every single day. They're going to continually have direct deposits from the insurance carriers every single day hitting their bank.
Yeah, you can't just let them stack up, can you? That's probably why some doctors
No.
get upset with their current billing companies is they go, like you said, they get complacent and they let them just stack up for a few days. Yeah, you got to keep it going. Um, let's see. Azam says, what typical questions do the doctors complain about billing? What is the biggest complaint you hear out there, Juliana, from doctors, and why you sign them up from other billing companies that they're dealing with, or maybe from their own staff?
That that they're not going after the ones that are difficult. Their AR is their AR is growing. They've got things in 31 bucket, 60-day bucket, 120-day bucket, and their staff can't tell them why.
Yeah, yeah, and that's because the system that they're using probably is antiquated. It's not real-time web-based system, and yeah, and there's no motivation for that person in the office again to go after that money. Uh,
Right,
Russell
exactly.
Russell says, how do you get paid? Do you take a portion each day? Kind of explain how
No.
that works, Juliana. How do you actually get paid?
Yeah, usually it's a percentage of the insurance collectibles, and or patient if you're helping them with the patient receivables as well. So you're charging a percentage. So let's just say one of your doctors collects $50,000 in February from insurance, then you're going to charge that percentage, whatever the percentage is, 6, 7, 5, whatever you've negotiated, of that 50.
Yeah. And do you just bill them then? Is it every 2 weeks or every month? How do you do your billing?
I bill them at the end of every month for that month.
Yeah.
So like right now, this week is always busy because we're posting as many payments as we can. We're making sure all of our payments are posted, and then so that on next Tuesday, the 1st, we'll be generating all of the invoices for the clients for February.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take just a few more questions here, folks. We've got about 8 minutes, and I'm going to let Juliana go here in just a moment and wrap it up. But here's one from Heather says, does ABS do any advertising? No, Heather, we're not actually in the medical billing business ourselves. We train and support people, although my wife and I were, many years ago. Now we focus on helping our licensees be successful in their business. You will establish your own company, your own company name, and we'll teach you how to do, whatever advertising you want to do for your own business. Uh, do you spend any money now, Juliana, on any kind of marketing?
Um, I haven't spent any money in a while on marketing, but I have a lot of, like I was talking about earlier, I've got some of my pre-printed marketing materials that are very, it doesn't really matter. There's no dates or anything on them, so they always are going to be, they're always nice and they're always kind of relevant, that I can use. Um, but no, I haven't really spent any money on marketing other than going, spending my money on going to these networking events and those types of things.
Yeah, I think we were talking offline earlier about the fact that really once you get one or two clients, if you're doing a good job for those clients, that they will refer other doctors to you, won't
Right.
they? Okay, here's one from Russell. Do we have software that tracks the client's income? I guess he means, does the doctor know, exactly what you're collecting? And of course, they can see that in our system, can't
Yeah, the doctor can see everything you can see. Whether they understand what they're seeing is a whole nother story, but
they?
yeah, they have full access to everything, and of course, they should know what they're bringing in outside of, like, copays, things that the patient is paying at the time of service.
Right. Yeah,
But the
and
reporting tools are great because you can pull pretty much any report you want.
yeah. All right. Cindy says, do you do the coding yourself, or you hire a third party, or do you use ABS's service for it?
I have used CodeWrite before, but most of the time the doctor, and because the system is so great with helping them choose what they are going to choose, and if something needs to be, like with the new ICD-10s, divided further and those types of things, then um, the doctor usually is doing it all. You still need to know enough to know if what they sent over is adequate, and if not, you might have to go back to the doctor and say, you know, did you really do this? Or, sometimes they might not even be adding a procedure code on there that you see written in their charts. So you do need to know about it, but you don't. I'm not a certified coder, and I tell my clients, I tell them that I'm not a certified coder, but I do know enough about it to help you determine if you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, that's what they're really concerned about, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Am I under coding?
Yeah, and they understand that it is their responsibility. They know that the ultimate responsibility is theirs, but you're their partner, so you're going to be there to kind of be that second eyeball before that claim goes out.
Okay, Juliana, I have one last question here, and we're going to wrap it up. This is from Azam. He says, have you lost any business? And if yes, what was the reason?
I have, because you're going to lose business, but mostly it's been from people coming out of deciding that they don't want to be a private practice anymore and sell into the hospital, and then the hospital has got its own humongous centralized billing office. So I've lost clients for that reason, and I've actually terminated clients because they weren't good clients. Not every client is a good client, so I've told them, I've severed my agreements with that client, because they weren't providing the information that we needed, and it just wasn't working out. So those are the main reasons for losing a client, or um, having any kind of a change in your client base.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. You fire your clients just like they can fire you. So you have to
Right.
do a good job for them, and they have to do a good job providing you what you need, or you can't do a good job for them. So, Juliana, thank you so much for your time today. I'm sure this was very helpful to a lot of people who are making the decision to get into this business. What last words would you have for anybody that's on here that's considering, starting this business?
I would just say, look at what your opportunities are and just go for it. Um, you know, you could stay doing what you're doing, or not. But for me, I was just ready to take that jump, and I'm so glad that I did.
Now, Juliana, thank you. And if you don't mind, would you be open if some of these folks wanted to call you personally?
Sure.
So why don't I do this? I'll just tell them to go back to whoever sent them the email about this webinar. Just ask them, how to get a hold of you, and we'll make sure that you're okay with, receiving a call or two from folks that want to speak with you personally. Thanks again,
Yep.
Juliana.
Okay.
I appreciate you being on
Thank
here.
you. Yep.
Stay in touch.
I will. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye bye.